And here's to another video of me in a row being tired and talking about Jesus. It should just be like a series at this point, like tired girl in a robe talking about Jesus. It actually is not a bad idea. Like I could do that. Um, but I give whatever little suffering it is to make this video tired up to Jesus. And that's actually the topic of this video, is this idea that has been very uncomfortable to me for a long time in Catholicism, called like, that's basically centered on giving your suffering to Christ, your sufferings bringing you closer to Christ, and actually like welcoming suffering. For the first time, I was actually able to tell the Lord that I welcome suffering. And I never thought I would get to that point. I thought, I don't understand how these saints, I don't understand how they can ask for suffering. Like I just can't wrap my head around that. And I grew up in a Protestant, Pentecostal specifically. I grew up in that type of environment where it's like suffering is punishment. Suffering is something you earn through not having enough faith, the love of the Lord, the love of God abandoning you, or like you lost favor with God or something like that. If you have an ailment that's just persistent, it's because you're just not praying enough or you're just not doing enough. And that is a lot of pressure, and that makes suffering something that's not it takes away the blessings that suffering can offer. It strips it down to just God being this, just wanting to make life easier for you, this being that's supposed to just want to make life easier for you. Christ literally suffered on the cross. From the day he was born to the moment of the cross, he suffered because he was around all these humans who just couldn't conceptualize, couldn't understand, couldn't just get the love of Christ, couldn't just understand the love of God, couldn't just be good, who were so fragile and so weak and so prone to like doing the worst things, and just they couldn't get it. He had to grow up with that. And I'm thinking all these sins of the world leading up to the moment in the Garden of Gethsemane where he's like, Lord, please take this cup from me. He's literally feeling the weight of all the sins of the world on him. That's been building up for 33 years. The betrayal, the Pharisees chasing him, him fleeing to Egypt at one point, with his mom and stuff. Like, I can't even imagine all the sufferings that he went through and internally, coming into this world and seeing us and seeing the poor state of everything. I can't imagine it, honestly. And it culminated in the worst type of suffering, the worst type of torture that someone can imagine. And he suffered, and he did it relentlessly out of his love for us, that relentless love he has for us. Like, he did that for us. And Apostle Paul, apparently, I've learned, says that suffering brings and breeds that perseverance, which brings you closer to Christ. That is the gift, basically. Like, me not wanting to suffer and go this life on easy mode, like live this life on easy mode, is basically me asking to get to keep all the little gifts and little treasures that this earth has to offer, and keep Jesus at this arm's length, basically. Because if you when you're confronted with the crucifix image of him and the bleeding and all that stuff, like, it's jarring, but it's necessary because it makes you expand and deepen and widen your love for him and understanding of him and his love. And he asks you to take up your cross. So suffering is inevitable. And that's what he's been like telling me lately, is that basically you can't avoid it. It's going to happen. Personally, I have been so fortunate in my life to not experience death like directly. Like, I haven't lost a family member, I haven't lost a friend, and I know so many people have, and so many people carry that cross, and they'll carry it to the day till the day they die. And like, I know that God is telling me it's time to grow up. Basically, like, it's very immature. It's a very shallow faith and very immature to expect. Of course, my phone died, so yeah, great, right? But I just feel like God has been pruning me, and he's pruning each and every one of us who are like, I love you, God. Like, I'll do anything for you. I want to be close to you. I want to get to know you more. I feel like he's pruning each and every one of us, pruning our spirits, strengthening us where we're weak, and magnifying the parts of us that he can use, you know? And I think that the best way to do that is through suffering, to get us closer to him, to help us to understand him a little bit better, to love him a little bit better. Because it's like, if I'm going through this and this feels like this, and you went through that, and I don't even know what that must have felt like you loved us that much. And just that perseverance in the Lord. And we're not, like, for me, a lot of it is consolations. I am so comfortable in my consolations of always getting that feeling. I'm a former Protestant. It was an emotional experience a lot of the time. And I always got that good feeling when I would take the Eucharist, or when I would pray, or when I would pray the Rosary, like always getting that feeling of peace and just like warmth. And so I got comfortable in that, like always feeling something. So recently, going through a little bit of spiritual dryness after just having made a video about how it's peace in knowing. There's a peace in knowing, not peace being a feeling. God was like, "Oh yeah, like let's see just how much, like, you can. Let's see just how much He's gonna make me eat those words. He made me eat those words. He said, let's see just how much you can live by the things you're saying." And it was hard, because it was hard not to think, did I do something wrong? Like, am I unaware of like some sin that I've committed that has made me not feel him the same way? And then I realized, like, God is basically saying that I need to grow up. Like, he's always there. He's always present, whether we feel him or not, whether we see his hand or not. He's always there. And I'm at the stage now where it's like, it's a, like, you know, when the parent is pushing the kid on the bike, they finally got their training wheels off and they're riding the bike, and the parent is like pushing them in the back, and then they slowly let their hand off and let that child continue to go. They're still right there, you know, ready to catch them, but they're not actively holding that child as they're going. And that's basically the stage I feel that God is like telling me that I'm at. And he's just given me so many consolations, but the consolations are, the comfort is gifts. These are gifts, and I cherish them when I have them, but I can't grip onto them more than the knowing of his love, more than gripping onto the knowledge that he loves me and he's always working. I can't do that because it may not always be there. It may not always be available, like the tangible gifts, the tangible emotions, of, you know, oh, he did this, oh, I saw this, and oh, he just loves me so much. And then the warmth, it's not always going to be there. I'm not always going to feel that. But because I know that he's always working, I'm going to keep doing the things and using the basics that he's taught me up until this point to continue loving him the way he deserves to be loved. And the consolation in those things, and the consolation in continuing to serve him when you don't feel his presence, is perseverance. Fruits of the spirit is the fruits of the spirit: patience, charity. Those are the consolations. Is improving on those fruits, is receiving those fruits from those periods of dryness, those dry spells. And I used to like look at the saints and be like, how can you take the Eucharist every day? How can you like know the love of the Lord so well, and be so devout and not feel him and not feel that peace constantly? Like, how do you experience a dark night of the soul? That's what they call it, a dark night of the soul. I have dreaded, ever since I became Catholic, I have dreaded that happening to me, because I'm like maybe I'm an exception, because I always feel something, and I don't know how you couldn't feel something if you're doing the things you're doing all these things. But no, the dark night of the soul is also to help you um, stop relying on feelings and tangible gifts, tangible occurrences of God's presence, and just knowing that his presence is constant, and you have all these gifts that he's given you thus far to love him with, like the fruits of the spirit. You've had all these gifts, the talents he's given you, all these things, the silence, prayer, like all these tools, the stories of other saints, the mass. You have all these tools that he's given you to love him and to know that he's always present. And it's up to you to continue reminding yourself of that sometimes, and know that that is also the Holy Spirit working to build your faith and strengthen your faith and strengthen your love. So while I'm not at the point yet of asking for suffering, like some of these saints that we've heard of, I am at the point where I've asked God, or I've said to God, like, I welcome suffering. I expect it. Because me expecting an easy life isn't me wanting the will of the Father. Because the will of the Father is to make us better, not to give us an easy life. And that has been a beautiful revelation. That has been such a touching and empowering, honestly, an empowering revelation, because it's like, okay, the suffering will come. It's inevitable. So now every day I start the day. I'm saying every day. This is literally like last night that I finally like had this epiphany. But like now I'm starting the day. I woke up this morning starting the day like, okay, whatever sufferings come today, like I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I expect them now. Now when I go into a situation, even something as simple as we're driving today, something could happen. Something could happen. If the Lord gets us to and from our destination without any incident, that is a blessing. I am so grateful. But if he doesn't, that's also a blessing. And I'm going to find the joy in that eventually, whether in this life or the next. And that sounds really dramatic. It sounds really, really dramatic, but I couldn't have gone to the point of saying that without the grace of the Lord, and without his constant presence, and without the Holy Spirit moving and molding me into this person that can say that. It's all God, because I would never say that. I like it. I like to be comfy. Look at me in my robe. I like to be comfy. I like to chill. I like to, physical pain really doesn't, physical pain, don't love it. It's really hard for me to do things that, and it's not even so much like possessions, because I'm not a materialistic person. I'm willing to give things up in that regard. But God has been so good to me in waiting until the point where I could actually bear suffering in my soul, where I could actually welcome suffering. Because up until this point, I don't know what it's like as other people do. A lot of people I know who've experienced direct loss, who've lost family members, close friends, like relatives. I have never tasted that bitter cup directly on my own. And I don't want to. That's the thing that scares me the most. Honestly. Um, but I know that it's inevitable. Getting older, like things, it's inevitable. It really is. And life happens, things happen, the unexpected happens. But if I expect suffering, what it's doing now for me is okay, like I want to appreciate and love and cherish the people that I have in my life now while I can, because I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't know what tomorrow brings. And there it's not a fear in that, because fear is not of the Lord. So that is something that, and the people around me I know are also fighting um the good fight too. They're, they're walking in their faith. So beautiful things await us all in eternity. So I'm not so worried about that anymore. I know I will have emotions. I know that it will hurt. I know whatever God brings, it's going to be challenging, but he won't give me more than my soul can bear. And whatever he does bring me, he's going to help me through it. And I know it's kind of morbid to be saying these things. I know it might sound like really, really like bizarre, really out there, but this type of thinking, this way of thinking, it's what Catholicism has led me to. Because Catholics know the value of suffering. That is, like, they know the value of suffering. They know that there's a lot of fruit there, a lot of connection to Jesus there. And that's what Catholicism is. It's connection to Jesus. That's literally knowing Jesus in a three-dimensional, full, real, tangible way. And sometimes, again, like I said, it's not tangible in certain ways, but his presence is always there, whether it's felt or not. It's really all about wanting to suffer well, because if I say I want to give my whole self to him and be a living sacrifice, that's going to come with pain. That's going to come with suffering. It is. And it reminds us that there's so many attachments we have here on this earth. So many attachments. Food, for one, like, even when I'm eating healthy, like, I still like my sweets. Like, it's like I can't let that go. So he makes you do a fast. And I'm like, I don't want to do the fast. But he's like, you need to do the fast. It's for your own good. And then I do the fast and I'm like, wow, like, I have a huge attachment to food. I have a huge attachment to food. I have a huge attachment to comfort. I have a huge attachment to sweets. I have a huge attachment to just my comfort zone, what I've known, what I've been doing. And some of the things, like, oh, like, you can cut out meat on Fridays. It's a Catholic thing. Fridays, you're fasting for meat. You can cut out meat on Fridays. That is not that bad to me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that. Cut out meat. I'm still making my sacrifice. But when he says fast for a full day, can I do that? Like, that's the, because the fasting for me, honestly, I like fish. I love shrimp. So it wasn't that crazy to me. But then he finally asked me to fast for 24 hours. And I've seen other people do it. I've seen other people do longer. People on YouTube talking about 40 days. And I've always just been like, nah. I don't really need to do all that. That's, yeah. But he's like, I'm going to need you to put the food down. And I'm going to need you to really evaluate the way you fast and your relationship, like just your relationship to food. And it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. And now I'm actually excited to fast in the future. You see how he can make you like suffering? It's kind of twisted. It's kind of crazy, but in the best way. And little sufferings every day, whether we want them or not, whether we purposely take them on or they just happen. And I want to be able to take them in stride. And I want that for all of us. I want all of us to be able to take our little sufferings, big sufferings in stride. And I pray that the strength of the Lord, to do all things, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. I pray that the strength of the Lord gives us that oomph, that, strength, that courage to suffer and to welcome suffering. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm going to sleep now. Bye.